Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to return to a brewery that I haven't reviewed anything from in absolutely ages, and I'm not sure exactly why that was. I think it is just a case that I hadn't come across beers from this brewery in a very long time, but it is going to be nice to return to them, I think, and I'm very curious to see what this one has in store for us today. So for this review then, we are going to go to Gnesta, which is just a little bit to the southwest of Stockholm, and we're going to have a look at my second beer from Den Bryggande Holländaren. So basically the brewing Dutchman, if you want to translate it into English. This particular beer is called the Chocolate, and they're describing it as a chocolate milk stout. It comes in at 7% ABV, and it was released as part of the Lokalt och Småskaligt assortment in Systembolaget in May 2020. So yeah, the last beer that I had from these guys was the Empirical Stout, which I remember being pretty nice actually, but I really don't know why I haven't reviewed anything from these guys in such a long time. I think it's just, I hadn't come across this brewery, and I saw this one released through the Lokalt och Småskaligt, and I thought, I just was like, I've not had anything from these guys in ages, let's have one of these and see what it's like, and here we are now. So yeah, the last review that I did from these guys was back in 2017, and it was review number 970 something when I had a look at it earlier on. So yeah, it'd be nice to return to these guys after quite some time actually. So very curious to see how this beer turns out. Definitely nice to return to Den Bryggande Holländaren again, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So yeah, let's see how we get on then. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Den Bryggande Holländaren before. Hopefully I can add some more at some point in the near future. I don't want to leave it another 3 years before I review another beer from this brewery. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you happen to be interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Den Bryggande Holländaren then, the brewing Dutchman. So as I told you already, this brewery are based in Gnesta in Södermanland, just to the southwest of Stockholm, and this is only a very small town of about 5,500 people, but it was home to the Holman brewery for a number of years from 1870 until the 1960s, and there are I think 3 breweries now in Gnesta, and along with a distillery as well actually. But Den Bryggande Holländaren was founded back in 2013 by husband and wife team Wilbert Duyvestien, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Theresa McGovern, who are from the Netherlands and America respectively, hence the name of the brewing Dutchman, Den Bryggande Holländaren. But they moved to Sweden a few years ago from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and Wilbert said that he wanted to combine Dutch brewing and Swedish brewing techniques, and this is why he went for the name the brewing Dutchman, if you like. So Wilbert had been a home brewer for a long time, and he wanted to, turn professional, so he decided, to go all in and start out his company. But initially he wanted to brew individual batches of around 500 litres, and he was doing this. But later he actually decided to kind of produce a small core range of beers and get them into Systembolaget, and he did that, and the beers are now available nationwide. Over the last few years they've continued to gradually expand their brewery capacity. They've gradually bought up some barrels and things like that, so they do produce some sour beers now and do different kinds of barrel aging and stuff like that as well. Interestingly, they also offer brewing courses as well, which is quite interesting too, and they've got a partnership with a local B&B, which is in this old kind of mansion thing that looks very, very cool as well. But these days, as of June 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 30 different kinds of beer, and they've got a whole variety of different styles in there. There seem to be a few, almost lambic style beers like Flemish Reds and things like that, but they've got a few stouts in there. There were a couple of IPAs and things from what I remember as well, so a whole host of different styles within that kind of 30 beers that within those 30 beers that they've produced. So yeah, I need to see if I can get a hold of a few of the kind of sours and things that they've done, because I am a big fan of the sour beers these days. So I'll need to check again on Systembolaget and see what is actually available from them to try another sour, to try a sour from these guys, especially if it's a kind of Flanders Red style beer. I think would be very, very interesting. Been enjoying the creeks and stuff recently as well, so that could also be quite an interesting thing as well. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Den Bryggande Holländaren for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. They do have a blog on there. It hasn't been updated in a little while actually, but they do seem to add at least 2 or 3 posts a year. So yeah, you can keep an eye on that. You can get a bit of information about all the different beers that they've done there as well. But if you want to keep more up to date, more regularly, you can check out the Facebook and the Facebook and the Instagram and things like that to keep up to date with all that. And you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the individual beers that they've done. So yeah, let's have a little look at this one then and see how we get on. So yeah, really curious about this actually. So as you can see, the artwork on this one is pretty cool. The chocolate, they've kind of rebranded their labels recently from what I gather as well. But there you can see, you know, chocolate milk stout. This really reminds me of that old PlayStation game Carmageddon, where you had you were driving around and you used to get zombies and stuff, so you had the electro bastardry that would come out of the car and shoot and blow up all the zombies. It reminds me a little bit of that actually. But there you can see on the back there is Wilbert, the outline of Wilbert's glasses and his fluffy hair that he has. Craft brewery Gnesta, and yeah, it gives you instructions on how to pour it as well. So I will actually follow those and see how it works out. But you can also see Den Bryggande Holländaren, they do have this special little bottle cap as well, so very, very cool. But like I said, this one, a chocolate milk stout coming in at 7% ABV. This one didn't cost too much. I think this was like 30 or 35 crowns or something like that. So yeah, it really wasn't a lot to buy this one. And as I say, I got this one simply because I hadn't had anything from this brewery in a very, very long time, and I thought chocolate milk stout, you know, that's a style that I can get behind. So let's get this guy out then, and we will get on with the tasting. So it says pour about 2/3 of it. We'll roll it a little bit as he suggests. Yeah. And then we'll put the last of it in. There we go. And you've got a nice level of head on it. That's a good pour. Definitely a good pour. So yeah, still a little bit of sediment left on the bottom there. So yeah, this beer has been bottle conditioned. I don't think there's much doubt about that. But well, it will be if it's got the sediment in it, in fairness. But yeah, getting an itchy nose today. Don't know why. But yeah, this one, it kind of looks pretty much as you would expect for a chocolate milk stout. If I shine the light through this, oh, there is quite a bit. You can see there are quite a few little bits of sediment floating around in this one. But yeah, the colour of this one is definitely a nice sort of dark ebony kind of rosewoodish colour. You can see there's a solid 2/3 finger of a medium kind of beigey tan head on this one. It's got a few bigger bubbles sitting towards the bottom of the head, but I mean overall it does look pretty damn nice. But it's got a lovely kind of dark mahogany. It's actually not too far away from the colour of the glass on the bottle, to be honest with you, but 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head, and the head incidentally is just fading away to be a very, very thin foamy layer. So I do like how that goes together in this one. So yeah, comes across very, very nicely, I have to say. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider what style it is. But let's have a look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. I think this one, I'm really curious to see what this has in store for us. Yeah, this one comes across to me as it's really interesting that actually, because it almost has a little bit of a kind of coffee smoothness to it. That's interesting. Does it say on the bottle that it has coffee in it? Because it really does smell like it's got a little bit of coffee in it. So it says no, just corn malt, which is basically regular brewing malt, wheat malt, havre, which is oats, so wheat and oats, and then cocoa, which is chocolate, and then it's got some vanilla in it as well actually. So yeah, that's interesting actually that they've not put lactose in it when it's a chocolate milk stout. That's an interesting point to make about this one. Because yeah, if it's a chocolate milk stout, I would have thought there would be a bit of lactose in it. But yeah, But yeah, for me, I would think going from the aroma on this one, I've got a feeling that some of the malt that's in this is Carafa, which is a Weirmann malt from Bamberg. Because this beer, it really does have, it comes across as a little bit coffee-ish. It almost has a bit of that kind of coffee bean smoothness, but you really get that sort of, you really get that kind of really toasty, well-fired bread crust note that you quite often get from Carafa, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a bit of that in here. On top of that, you do get, there is a bit of nice chocolate. There is a sort of milky edge to it, in fairness, and I can pick out some of the vanilla. I think it's the vanilla that's given the impression of a more milky chocolate. But then you've also got some of the darker chocolates as well. I think milk chocolate is usually about 30% cocoa, something like that. But then you also get some of the darker, more bitter chocolatey notes coming out of it as well. You know, like a sort of 70, 80-ish% cocoa. So you've got a good mix of all the different things in here. But you can smell there is a bit of a nice kind of brown bready character to the beer as well. There's definitely that kind of nice brown bready, almost rye bready base to the beer as well. I really like how that comes out in this one. So to me, this strikes me as quite a bready stout, and it's almost, I have a feeling I probably wouldn't pick out that this was a chocolate milk stout on a blind smell. I don't think. I think I would probably think that this was, what would I think this was? I'd probably think that it would be, I probably would think it was a stout, or maybe at a push a porter, but I really don't think I would pick out that this was supposed to be like a chocolate milk stout. I wouldn't think that this was a sweet stout. I'd probably think this was like a coffee porter or something, to be honest with you. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing, is it doesn't smell overly creamy, this one. So yeah, I think I would probably reckon that this beer from its aroma would be like a coffee porter. I think that's probably what I would say if I was blind smelling this one. So yeah, that's an interesting point. And the main difference, of course, between the porters and the stouts is the type of yeast that you use, and the malt. The malt base obviously varies a little bit, but the porters tend to be quite a bit lighter than they tend to be quite a little bit lighter than the stouts are, because of that different yeasts and things like that. The other thing that I might at a push think it would be like a Czech Tmavé, which is basically the Czech equivalent of the German Schwarzbier. So I might think, I could see myself saying that maybe this could be like a Czech Tmavé on a blind smelling as well. But it doesn't. Yeah, the aroma doesn't strike me particularly as being a sort of sweet stout, which is what you expect from the name. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of earthiness to this one. You do get a nice little bit of floral character there too, and a bit of lighter grassiness, and the fruits are kind of interesting as well. I mean, I do wonder if this maybe has a little bit of, not Northern Brewer, the English one, Bramling's Cross. I do wonder if it's maybe got a little bit of Bramling's Cross in it, because the earthiness has a little bit of an English quality to it. It's almost got a wee bit of a herbal note to it. There's the floral notes aren't quite as bright as you might expect from German hops, and then you do have this nice kind of red, fruity, berryish character to it. So I mean, could it have Bramling's Cross in it? I don't think it's quite bright enough. I think there's too much. The earthiness is a bit too dark, and it's a bit too herbal, I think, to be German hops. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting point. I'd be curious to know what the hops are in this beer. I always like playing guess the hops with these things. Right guys, sorry for the edit there, I just had to kind of stop it until the noise outside kind of dissipated a little bit. So yeah, let's continue on and finish off the aroma of the beer then. So the fruity side of it. So yeah, this one, on the fruity side of things, it's got quite an almost sharp, almost cherry note to it, I would say, but you've got some really nice kind of more kind of juicy and figgy notes to it as well. It's almost a little bit raisiny, to be honest with you. So it's your typical kind of red, kind of fruity characters, and I think the further that you kind of ponder the aroma, the more you get a little bit of a kind of blackcurranty, blackberry-ish sort of vibe out of it. Yeah, I mean the fruitiness in this one, it's got a nice little bit of sharpness to it. It's got a nice little bit of a kind of cherryish note to it as well. Like I say, it's kind of got everything you would expect. I really think there is a little bit of an English Bramling's Cross hop in this one. I really would not be surprised if that was the case. So yeah, I think it comes across really quite nicely in terms of its aroma. As I say, just a little bit surprised at this one that it's not a little bit more kind of creamy and sweet in its aroma. So yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before we get stuck into it, but we'll have a taste of this now and see how we go on. This one is the Chocolate, a 7% chocolate milk stout from the Bryggande Holländaren in Gnesta, just to the southwest of Stockholm in Södermanland here in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål! Yeah, that's pretty nice actually. It is pretty nice. Yeah, it is quite a sweet stout, this one. What I'll say straight away is, this isn't the kind of most... it's not the thickest of stouts I think that you're going to come across. But it really has a very kind of nice sort of bready, grainy, sort of wholesome feel to it, to be honest with you. It's quite an interesting one, this. It really has almost that kind of homebrewed type vibe to it, to be honest with you, like completely unfiltered and everything like this. That's the kind of vibe that I get from this one. This is one that kind of comes across just, it really reminds me of some of the homebrewed stouts that I've had over the past while. So that's that's definitely an interesting point to make about this one. I like how this I do like how this one is coming together actually. So yeah, it's a thumbs up from me. It's more like a kind of, if you like the sort of English, it's almost like a combination of like an English brown ale and an Old English kind of stout, to be honest with you. So yeah, I like that. That's what I would say about this one, is that it's you know, it is, yeah, it's somewhere I find this beer to be somewhere between the kind of brown ale category and somewhere between the stoutiness, and it's mainly the breadiness that it has that makes me think it leans a little bit more towards the kind of brown ale side of things actually. But if you're expecting like a big kind of sweet creamy stout out of this, that's not really what you're going to get. This is definitely more a kind of bready beast rather than anything else, but I like it. We can sit and talk about the styles and exactly where it belongs all day, but the main question should always be, is it a nice beer? And yeah, I like this one. I do like this one. It's nicely done. It's quite different from a lot of the other stouts I've had recently, in fairness, but I think most of those have been the big kind of pastry beasts from the likes of, you know, Servicium and Amundsen and Omnipollo and things like that. So yeah, bear that in mind when you see my tasting of this one. So yeah, but I do like this beer. Quite a bready stout in my opinion. So yeah, I like how this. I do like how this one kind of comes together straight away. I mean, with this one, you do get a nice little bit of a roasty, black malty quality. You can feel that just blanket in the middle of your tongue. On top of that, it does kind of thicken up a little bit, and that makes me wonder. It smoothens out and thickens up a little bit. That does make me wonder if I was right about the Carafa malt kind of lingering in this one. Yeah, so I mean, I really like how that. I do like how that side of the beer comes together. It's the kind of breadiness that it has. On top of that, kind of almost coffee beany smoothness that it has. It's not quite pungent enough to be coffee beans, but it does give you a lot of the same impressions of like a smooth roast coffee. On top of that, I find that in the middle third of your palate, there's this kind of big brown bready layer, and as you go towards the back third of your tongue, that's where you're getting a bit more of the kind of bitterness from the black malts, a bit more of the roasty side of the coffee, and also a bit more of that well-fired bread crusty sort of thing. So yeah, you're getting a lot of that out of this beer. So yeah, I do like how that one, I do like how that side of it comes together actually. It's the kind of bready base that it has, as I say, it really reminds me a bit more like a brown ale or something like that than a stout, in fairness. But the main question is whether it's a good beer, as I said, and I like this one. I do like it. I've not had a kind of breadier stout like this in quite a wee while actually. But yeah, the chocolate side of things then. The chocolate, I think, it kind of feels as if it's infused into that whole sort of bready base that the beer has. It's like a little bit of a darker, higher cocoa chocolate mainly, but as you go further forward, if you go to the very centre of your palate, you do get this almost There is almost a wee touch of just a kind of brown sugary note out of this one, like a bit of a treacly, molassesy sort of thing. But it's you can feel the bread again is kind of infused into that there, and that'll be where the alcohol always comes out in the very centre of your palate, I think. But as you go further forward from that, you do start to get a few nutty undertones. If you go to the front corners of the palate, then in a little bit, you'll get a few wee woody notes out of it. And the vanilla, I think, you get a little bit of that just mixing in with the almost nutty flavours that the beer has. So I really like how that side of it goes together. I mean, that part of the beer I think is very, very nice. But yeah, definitely, it really does have this kind of bready, homebrewed kind of vibe to it, which is quite interesting. I like that about this one. On the hoppy side of things then, in the back corners of the palate there is a little bit of an earthiness there, and I think it is quite an English earthiness in fairness. As you move further forward along the sides of your palate there, it gradually gets a little bit more herbal. Again, this makes me wonder about Blanding's Cross. And then as you reach the kind of front corners of the palate there, it's got a little touch of floral quality, and round the very front curve of the tongue it's just that little bit lighter and grassy. And again, the green sides of this beer, it really makes me think there is just something in here that tells me English hops at least, and then maybe Bramling's Cross. Could it be a mix of Kent Goldings and Bramling's Cross? It does have a bit of that English stout kind of thing to it. It's got a little bit of that English real ale type vibe to it, in fairness. In the front third of the tongue, just behind the front curve of the palate, you've got that nice oily bubble where the juicy, fruity side of the beer comes out, and it's a bit interesting actually. So yeah, you get a nice little bit of a kind of reddish fruity note to this one. It's a little bit, it's not quite cherry and raisiny as the aroma was saying. It is more kind of juicy and plummy and figgy, if you like. So you get that pretty much takes over the kind of front third of your tongue there. But as you go further into the aftertaste, you've got a little bit of a kind of blackcurranty, blackberry sort of thing coming out of this one as well. So it does get a little bit more berryish and a little bit more candied the further you go into the aftertaste. So I do like how that part of the beer goes together actually. I mean, it really is very nice and really interesting actually. I like this whole thing. It really has that kind of real ale, that English real ale vibe to it in my opinion, and I think it sort of straddles the line a bit between a brown ale and a stout, to be honest with you. It's a bit bready in my mind to be a stout, and I think you would expect that more of a kind of brown ale rather than anything else. But in terms of just, you know, a nice dark beer, it certainly has that, and it's certainly got the whole kind of homebrewed, pardon me, vibe about it as well, which I do quite like. So it gets a thumbs up from me, this one. I wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I'd love, pardon me, getting a bit of gas out of it, but I would love to try it on tap and just see how it turns out there as well. But yeah, nice enough kind of beer for me. As I say, just a little bit I don't know if that's what they mean by the shock a lot. Maybe it's supposed to be quite a bit different, but to me, yeah, I would think this is a bit more of a brown ale than a stout, to be honest with you. And if it was marketed as a brown ale, like a chocolate brown ale, I think that would be a really kind of interesting thing. So yeah, the oaty, I don't see the oatiness and the wheatiness. I'm not sure that they play. I think the wheat will play much of a role. I think the wheat is what's giving you a lot of the breadiness out of this beer, and the oats, of course, are going to thicken it up a little bit as well. So the further you go into the aftertaste, yeah, you do get a little bit more vanilla and a little bit of that oaty vibe out of it. But yeah, I this one to me, it really just seems, if I was blind tasting it, I think I would reckon it was a brown ale. I don't know if I would pick up immediately that this was a stout. I might say it was an old English stout or something like that. I certainly wouldn't guess that it was 7% either. That's the other thing. It does cover its alcohol fairly well, to be honest with you. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say this is it's at the top end of mid-body. This one, the carbonation is quite smooth. It does have a degree of oiliness to it as well, which is interesting. As I say, I don't get... You get a little bit of creaminess almost in the middle of the palate, but not too much. In terms of IBUs, it's very, very low, this one. I'd be surprised if we're anything above 25 IBUs. The malt base and things in the middle of the palate, like I'm saying, is very, very smooth. There's a wee bit of dryness to it the further you go into the aftertaste, a little bit of sweetness in there as well. And you've also got some nice red fruity notes to the beer too, which is very interesting. So yeah, I like how this one I do like how this one goes together. As I say, it strikes me as a bit more of a brown ale, but in terms of styles, we can debate that all day. The main question is it a good beer? And I think they've done a nice job with it. So thumbs up to Bryggande Holländaren again, and I hope that I can try more of their beers at some point in the fairly near future. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one then. This one was the Chocolat, a 7% chocolate milk stout from Bryggande Holländaren in Gnesta, just to the southwest of Stockholm. Nice to return to this brewery after quite a long time. I do hope that I can try some of their sour beers and things like that. I need to look on Systembolaget and see what is actually available. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Bryggande Holländaren as well, and I will catch you guys very, very soon. Thanks again for watching. Check out Bryggande Holländaren, and I'll catch you in the next video. Slange, skål, prost, cheers.